Hi, this is Dr. Chrissy Taylor, and although I look very informal here, I wanted to take some time to reflect on this project that we did for Leading Learning because I started out this project and my goal was to really, focus on the WeWorks in model initiative and looking at the amount of resources that they have in WeWorks and compare that to what we're doing in remodeling our approach to professional development for teachers. So I want to start out by saying this a lot of what I did for this project focused on what we learned in modules 3 and modules 8 with regards to supporting adult learners and leading change and being able to have an adaptive type of leadership because this is what I do for a living. I work with adult learners, and really this is important to me because teaching faculty members uh, actually helps to them to apply what they're learning in class. So it's almost like an experiential form of learning because these faculty members will go directly into the classroom and apply what they're learning. And I'm having a hard time seeing because I wear glasses, but there's a reflection here. So I kind of wanted to kind of go through my project really quick, share my perspective. Again, I started out looking at the What Works initiative, but when I went through and I started doing the certification process is really challenging. I'm going to continue to work on that. So that'll be one of the things I continue to work on even after this project is done. Two, there was no information on, all of the studies that they have, there was no information at all on the impact of, professional development on faculty members, even in the teaching excellence area. All of it really focuses on K through 12. And so my first thing is really to go back and, as I work towards the certification, to be able to support that process because there is research out there that focuses on the length or the impact of, how faculty members engage in the classroom and the impact that has on students. So what I did was I focused on extending the literature review beyond, since I could not find anything in the What Works database. So that'll be one of my modifications is to, continue to do that because that's an area where I can actually support and enhance that initiative because I can serve as a reviewer there to start reviewing systematic studies that show the link between professional development and enhancing the student experience. But this particular project didn't necessarily focus on that. I really looked at how this new model that we have for the Center for Teaching Excellence, Learning Excellence is going to be applicable to supporting our faculty. So we did not have a established center. What we used to have was a room on each campus where you could go to make copies, etc. And then we would have what we call a PTLC, Professional Learning Center Coordinator. And if you wanted to do some type of training, etc., you would just go to that person and say, hey, I want to do this training. But now it's really more organized and you actually get credit for participating in the training. And a long time ago, unless it was actually organized through HR, that was not something that was done. So even though it's more formal now and you have to work with the PTLC, even we changed the name to CTLE, you actually get credit and you get support in ensuring that the presentation that you deliver is a quality presentation in alignment with the Center for Teaching and Learning Excellence pillars, which I do want to point out here, all of the things that they implemented were well researched. When I look at all of the, I reviewed like 3 or 4 additional studies outside of what I put in the initial proposal, and I included them in here. But there was one study that I really wanted to point out. It was called this first study, a systematic literature review of faculty development for teacher educators, that just showed, even within that systematic review, the same type of data that we were reviewing in module 3, where we were talking about how people were receiving professional development training opportunities but weren't able to apply it to the classroom. This same literature systematic review showed that the results of a review of 22 different publications that focus on faculty development were showing the same exact results. And so I also included information. It's pretty consistent, so it was no point in being redundant about the impact of targeted faculty development programs that utilizes faculty developers as the base, meaning that we identify faculty members to support other faculty members. Because unlike working in K through 12 education, faculty members tend to work with complete autonomy. So when you try to partner them with somebody else, that's something that they're not necessarily used to, team teaching, etc., etc. So you have to be able to know how to effectively engage in change management. And so I have a lot of literature included in my discussion on how to effectively engage change management with faculty. I also pointed out there was a little bit of focus here. Point out how the PTLC new model also supported the continuing contract process, which in my project for my leading excellence in equity class was the big focus area. But in this particular one it wasn't, but I still kind of like use some of those same information just because of the fact that this is going to show some of the systemic issues that we have faculty members who are engaged in creating evidence-based processes, and they are supported by our administration. But the administration, once they make the decision to implement something, they use a top-down approach. So whereas the new process for faculty continuing contract and this CTO lead process was all faculty driven, supported, the implementation process has been almost administrative force implementation. But I can say, as somebody who served as both a interim dean and now currently a faculty member, in that transition there was no training for administrators on how to do this process. So the people who are directly managing faculty members, they don't necessarily know the appropriate way to engage. They don't know the appropriate way to support minorities through this process for a continuing contract. And a lot of those initiatives are now, it's kind of being steered by the CTLE, but the direct supervisors, the associate deans, are not involved. And so that is going to come back to haunt us in the long term. I did a SWOT analysis here on the impact of the CTLE, and I really think that overall, it is in alignment with the research that's out there as to how to properly support faculty and adult learners. Again, the weaknesses not of the CTLE model itself. There were a few weaknesses, but again, the CTLE model is new at Palm Beach State. So some of the things they can do to continue to enhance the experiences and applying some of the, just my recommendations based on what I've learned in this class is, we can continue to build out our online programs for and making those experiences meaningful for faculty. But I do believe that this COVID model, having to transition to like using Zoom and online systems, whereas they might have been hesitant to do this at first, is going to kind of force our hand at it. And secondly, there was a faculty mentor at each campus, but even as an associate dean, I pointed out to the CTLE team, I was like, there's still a lot of isolation. So a lot of the initiatives they're planning on leading are to develop these community of practices in these groups. Now, having to do a lot of stuff online has fostered that. My campus, really, I worked with our team to be really the first campus to do a simultaneous broadcast across all campuses, because I was like, these opportunities need to be expanded, and we're getting to that same model pattern of being just kind of self-contained, and we have to break out of those silos. So that was something that I had in works unknowingly, that I was going to do this project. And then when you look at it from a systems perspective, that is breaking out of these silos and learning to manage the change process, you got to do it. And the college is also facing some challenges where we're looking at, okay, how do we build a network for minority faculty members and help them through the continuing contract process, or what we would consider tenure. That is not going to be effective if we don't lay this foundation for excellence. A lot of work goes into these processes with faculty members. They lead the initiatives, but the weakness here is the administration and how they have just rushed to implement things. They just take it from the faculty member, then rush to implement it, when it should have been, okay, a quality program created, and then we implement it as a team. So in my, I did make some points about managing change, about the positives of what the impact of the CTLE once it was established. Like I said, the only thing that really didn't work out for me was trying to use the WeWorks model. But I was able to incorporate that systems approach that we learned about throughout the course, and really trying to, really understand where the weaknesses are. And for me, those weaknesses really lied in the implementation by the administration of this process. But hopefully with this COVID, we, it's very negative because it's not a good thing, but in this, we can kind of rethink how that process was done with implementing this, and they can really focus on training administration on culturally competent models. And I didn't really place emphasis here on it just due to the sake of time, but it's really important. And the last thing is, when it comes to my own recommendations, and I'm big on, hey, we need to train supervisors. 2, we need to continue to work on the WeWorks model, because now we're at a precipice where we can actually contribute to um, contribute to, you know, benchmarking these practices. There's a lot of evidence out there on how these CTL models and faculty development models work, but a lot of us are is higher education. We're so used to working in these silos that it's going to take a lot of study of change management, understanding how to navigate this with your faculty, and understanding that if from an associate dean standpoint, if I were to refer somebody, that is not punitive on a faculty member. But I still wanted to know that that referral was a positive, had a positive impact. And right now at Palm Beach State, this is owned by the faculty members, which is great, but there's no middle way of actually knowing the impact unless you just continuously monitor the outcome of what's going on in the classroom with the faculty member, and that can lead to other implications if you're going in and out. But that's going to be on the supervisor to make sure that you are engaging with that faculty member. And I really think that new process that they've implemented, and I talk a little bit about it in the slides, is going to help improve those outcomes. Okay, so my plan moving forward is to work with the CTLE to try to support developing a program geared towards administrators, even though the primary focus of the CTLE is for faculty. But I think faculty input in supporting cultural competent leadership type training on how administrators can support them is going to be important. Two, I'm going to continue to work on that what works certification, because that is difficult. I took the first module test and I did not pass, so I definitely had to modify my project based on that. And three, I'm going to continue to refine my own skills, because again, a lot of what we learn in adult pedagogy, when it comes to teaching and having meaningful experience for professors, that is immediately applied to the class, because we are always learning, and because we're teaching adults, we can improve how we're learning with them in the classroom, okay, and engaging with them. Thank you.